Hello and welcome to the Trophy Trust, a weekly podcast for PlayStation trophy hunters, recorded live through Discord. Joining me this evening, we have Void,
Good evening, guys.
the Vectronic,
Hello.
Punish,
Hey guys, how are you?
and of course, me, the Desert. How is everyone this evening? Has it been a productive week of trophy hunting and gaming?
It sure
Not
has
too
been.
bad.
Definitely is.
Not too bad.
Good. Okie dokie. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just go straight into things. Let's just keep this smooth, keep this quick, and keep it flowing. What we've been playing this week. I'll go first because I've only been playing one thing since our previous episode, and that is BioShock Infinite, the PS4 version, part of the BioShock collection. I recently played BioShock 2, part of the collection. Really enjoyed that game. I loved it back on PS3. But BioShock Infinite for me has to be my favorite BioShock game. It just takes what all the previous games did and just sort of does it better. Like the combat, for example, it's a lot quicker, a lot more fluid in this game than it is compared to say 2 and then 1, which is I'd say 1 is probably my least favorite game. It's the oldest of the games, of course, but also in terms of the feel of the controls and the combat, it's quite sluggish in the first game. 2, it's a little better, but in Infinite, they really got it down. The pace of the fighting, the fact that you can jump on the skylines and whiz around, they really sort of went for a kind of a modern game I can compare it to is like Doom from last year, where it's very quick paced. There is cover, of course, but it's all about sort of very quick on the fly 1-2, using the Vigors, which is the BioShock Infinite version of plasmids. Sorry, you were going to say?
Yeah, it's a pretty nice game. I enjoyed it. It's actually the only BioShock that I've played, so I'm really not a BioShock fan, but it's the only one that I played and I enjoyed.
Okay.
It's a nice game. I still have to go back and platinum it myself. But
visually, it looks fantastic on PS4. I'm playing it on PS4 Pro with the boost mode engaged on it, so it runs really smooth. I think it's close to, if not 60 frames, almost all the time. I haven't noticed any sort of stutter in the frames. Very smooth. It controls great. It doesn't really feel like an old game. It feels like a sort of like a modern shooter. It's aged really well, considering it's about 4 years old by now. I think it was 2013 the game came out. Definitely holds up well. Has anyone else here played it other than you, Void, of course?
I did.
I did too.
Vec, have you got any input on it?
Personally, as much as I like that game, I really don't like that the difficulty 1999 mode was really, really difficult for me to actually beat. But other than that, I personally enjoyed the game. Not so much the combat, but just exploring the whole Columbia setting, because it was trying too hard to be like its predecessors when it should have been like a whole new game altogether, which is partly introduced by the alternative to the Vigors, which is the alternate to plasmids.
Yeah.
I personally like it because most of the time you're not using most of them; you're just using one or two of them at the same time. But
Yeah, I agree with that. They've sort of streamlined down the combat, and especially with the weapons, you can only carry 2 at a time. Unlike in previous games, you had like a whole weapons wheel, so you had a lot of variety. I understand what they were doing; they were streamlining it down. I kind of missed the variety, and I want to come back to you just a moment when you mentioned 1999 mode. But first, I just want to hear what Punish has to say about it.
Well, I really enjoyed the game. The one thing that I really liked about it was the skyhook. I really actually liked riding around on that thing. I don't know about any of you guys, but I actually enjoyed that part of the game. But like you had said earlier, the only thing I didn't like about it was the downing of the weapons, especially when you're in some of the big fights, especially towards the end of the game. You could have definitely used more weapons at the end, like being able to switch from, say, the rifle to the grenade launcher and so on and so forth. So
yeah, I can agree with that. As for the skylines, yeah, they really are fun to like skyline strike, and it gives you a real tactical advantage when you're whizzing around. It's good that you can control the throttle speed as well, so you can slow down and actually pick off headshots, especially with the sniper rifle, which can be pretty satisfying, to be honest. But going back to 1999 mode, that's what I'm playing it on from the off, and to me, that feels like the game's sort of normal difficulty. To me, this feels like how it should be. The difficulty is fine. So at least for me, in my skill level, not that I'm bragging, I'm just saying that it feels comfortable from what I've played compared to what I've played in the past. But I'm curious to know, Vec, what is it that you found difficult about 1999 mode?
Mostly the boss encounters, though. All except for one boss encounter, I have problems with. The only one I didn't have problems is one I actually cheesed with by using a RAM glitch that was available on the PS3 version. I'm not sure if it's available on the collection, which requires you to do multiple vigors and multiple like the hats and stuff for the boosts, and you can just ram into like there's an enemy up along the lines that happens way after the game, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but basically it requires you to find like a banker in a bank, and that was just horrifying in 1999 mode. So that was my only problem.
Well, my only concern, this was back on the PS3 version, first playing it. 1999 mode, I thought it was going to be tricky because when you die in 1999 mode, you lose money. You're charged $100, and if you run out of money, it's back to your previous save. It's not like a permadeath thing. It's not as brutal as that. It's just back to when you last saved it, basically, which isn't too bad, really. But I was concerned that I was going to run out of money and end up dying. But no, there's loads of money, and in the BioShock collection, in the in the BioShock Infinite version of the collection, it comes with all the DLC and the season pass already pre-installed, as you would expect from a Game of the Year or definitive edition of a game. So it actually makes 1999 mode even easier because where it has the season pass and the DLC and all the pre-order bonuses already in the game, when you first start off the game, or at least about an hour into the game, when you first start really getting into the combat, it awards you basically all the pre-order stuff. So you get some really good gear to wear. You get a whole bunch of infusions from the start, so you can boost up your shield, your life, and your assaults level. So, and it also gives you like a whole bunch of money as well. And one of the pieces of gear that was from the pre-order bonuses that you find is like a hat or a vest or whatever. It gives you money every time you find a voxophone, which, for those who don't know, are the audio diaries in the game. And at the moment, I'm going through the game looking at it as a trophy hunter perspective. So I'm going around doing all the collectibles as I go. So naturally, I'm finding the 80 odd voxophones that are hidden around the world, and it gives you about I can't think of the exact amount, but it's between 20 and 50 coins every time you pick up a voxophone. So I'm not short of money, therefore not short of lives, if you want to put it that way. So when I die, I have no worry about failing completely and going back to a previous save. So 1999 mode is actually a lot easier in the in the collection, because you're given the bonuses from the start. So, if you do get it, Vec, in one day, I'd say it's probably a lot easier now than it was on the original version.
Yeah, I agree. I did play on the base game thanks for PlayStation Plus, and maybe that's why I had so much trouble with it in that playthrough.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going for platinum again. I'm not sure if I'll do all the DLC. I'm not really interested in the Clash in the Clouds. It's like BioShock 2. I was just in it for the main game. I platinumed the main game. Didn't really touch any of the DLC. I might go back to it, but I mean, I know Minerva's Den is a really good DLC. I played it back on PS3, but I kind of had my fill, and I only played the first episode of Burial at Sea back on PS3. But again, I feel I'm going to have my fill of the game by the time I get to it. It's going to require a second playthrough to mop up some of the combat trophies on easy mode. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. So I've spoken enough. So, Punish, would you like to go next? What have you been playing since last time?
Right now, I decided to take a break from Persona 4 Golden, and I am playing the Ratchet and Clank collection on my PS Vita. Yeah, quick and easy game, really fun, and also because I'm at work for 14 to 16 hours a day right now, it's I can hop in, complete a level really quick, and then I could save it and then turn my Vita off and go back into the office.
Nice. It's Ratchet and Clank collection. So, if you started with the first game, or any particular game in the collection?
Yeah, I started with the first one, and then from there I'll move on to the second one and work my way down to the third one. So,
okay, I've platinumed Ratchet and Clank 1, 2, and 3 HD on PS3, but only one on Vita. The first game, just Ratchet and Clank. mainly because I enjoyed it. It was great, and I got to the second game, and I just found the Vita port was not great compared to the PS3 one. It's just really clunky, and the frames are all over the place in some areas. And I don't know about you, but over the years where I've played PS3 versions of games that have landed on PS4, I find the hardware, I'll call them hardware restrictions of the Vita, because I find the analog sticks on the Vita have a far tighter turning circle than they do on the PS3 or the PS4. There's a less range on the analog stick. So when it comes to like hoverbike racing in the second game, I actually literally threw my Vita across the room in frustration because it just pissed me off so much because I just couldn't do it with the smaller analog sticks. So I just deleted the game, and that was that for the Ratchet and Clank trilogy on Vita.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I'm having that kind of difficulty with Ratchet 1 right now. It's like the kind of your range of turning. It's like, okay, I want to scroll over and shoot this guy over in the corner. Well, it's taking me 2 to 3 seconds longer just because of the range of controller.
Yeah, it's like not as bad as the Jack collection in terms of like quality of the port on Vita, but it's not great. Like to people listening, if you're going to play Ratchet and Clank, the trilogy, the first 3 games, do it on PS3, not on Vita, if you can.
Yep, exactly, and I completely agree with that recommendation.
Yeah, I could only do 1, 2. It was just too all over the place for me, and I didn't even try 3. I mean, people on Twitter have told me that late in the game in 2 and even 3, like the frame rates are like just through the floor in some of the larger levels. So yeah, I didn't want to do that, so I gave up. Anything else, Punish, you've been playing?
Nope, that's all for me.
Okie dokie. Beck, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been continuing with my quest on 100%ing the GTA 5, in which I 100%ed it last night, which was a relief for me.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter you were struggling at least with finding one of the last bridges to fly under. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually found it by pure accident. It's because the trophy was the close shave, which requires you to go underneath every single bridge and do every knife flight. So I had like 49 out of the 50 under the bridges. And then there's something that everyone should know at least once, is that when you're doing the under the bridge, try to find a smaller chopper with a small rotor, because if you even touch a part of the bridge, you get denied just for that one.
Yep.
So I thought I got through all of them. Oh, and me is like, okay, so I got this one, so I'm missing one. Where's the last one? And I was straight going back, and I eventually got it last night. Did the darts, got like 25 out of the 50 jumps, and got the 100% last night just playing darts.
Nice. I've platinum GTA 5, so I can completely relate and sympathize with the under bridges, and the knife flights are the amount of crashes, because with GTA, like with that, when you die you can't just reload a checkpoint in certain situations, especially when you're flying. You're killed and you have to go back and get the vehicle over again, and then try again, then fail, then you're back in the hospital. It's so long-winded to try some of these things that are required for 100%. And the knife flights, especially through some of the last ones, through some of the tall buildings, they took me loads of attempts. But I'm glad that you got all the bridges, because I know how annoying it can be if you can't keep track of collectibles, so to speak.
Thankfully, wait, you don't know about the quick save?
Oh no, I'm just speaking generally, like in GTA, like in general, like in that game, like it can take a lot of setup to achieve things to where you need to go or what you need to do. Like for example, if you want to get hold of a fighter jet, for example, when you don't own one or something, you have to go a lot out of your way, like break into the army base, for example, and acquire it. But
I found going back to Fort Franklin, going to the hangar, much easier than going to every time to Fort Sangudo just to get a fighter jet from the army. That's my personal taste. And honestly, I thought I had more trouble just getting the helicopter underneath the bridge more than anything in the whole thing. But at least the collectibles were actually easier. than most games I normally play. Though they were few and far between, and the stunt jumps were also another problem. Though I had less trouble later on once I figured out which is the best vehicle to be riding with, and it's obviously the motorcycle. And yeah, but that's it. I'm thinking of going back again to get the last of the 25 stunt jobs. Afterwards, I'm heading online purely just to get the platinum. That's it.
Well, good luck with that. I just remember, like, I had a pretty close experience with not getting the platinum for GTA 5 because, you know, the UFO parts. I collected them all, and when I got back to turn in my mission, the mission finished and completed, but the trophy didn't pop. And I was thinking, you know, what is going on? So I reloaded the save, tried again, nothing happened. Tried again, nothing happened, and I didn't know what to do. I looked online and there really wasn't much to go on, but it turns out this was back when it first kind of launched on PS4. There was some kind of weird glitch that if you were connected to the internet, it was something to do with Rockstar Social Club's connectivity to the game. I had to disconnect my PS4 completely from the internet, like completely turn any connection off. Then I reloaded my save, replayed the mission, and the trophy popped. So I had to play the rest of the campaign with no internet connected to the system for the trophy to unlock, which was a little bit concerning at the time because obviously it has an online portion. So I was thinking, well, how am I going to play the online and get the trophies if I can't connect to the internet to get the trophies? But they patched it and it's fine now. But it was a little bit concerning at the time considering I put so much time in up to that point.
Yeah, after that GTA 5. That's all I've been playing lately. Now I'm taking a break between that to play another game, and then I'll go back to the online because it's such a huge burnout after completing and 100%ing the game.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, that's how I felt towards the end. I was really sick of that game. Anyway, moving on. Boyd, still there?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
on your
I'm still there.
what's on your recently played?
I didn't play any of the game we were talking about, so it was hard to say anything about them.
That's all right. That's fine. So what have you been
I've
up
been
to?
playing. I completed 4 games this week. I've been playing Infamous Second Son. Got from PlayStation Plus.
whoa,
It was pretty cool. It was. I really enjoy the game. The second playthrough was definitely too much. Like there's not a big difference between the good or the bad cinematic or story. So, but
Did you play the previous Infamous games?
No, I play First Light before Second Son, but
Okay, interesting.
I think I enjoy First Light a little bit better. Just
Yeah,
I
me
like
too.
the neon and everything, but yeah, it's a easy platinum. It's a nice game.
It's definitely not the best Infamous game, that's for sure. In my opinion, of course. Two was definitely way better than Second Son. I just found Second Son to be a little boring. Like the world didn't seem very alive, considering it's in quite a large populated city.
I think it's part of the fact that it's trying to be separate from Infamous while still retaining the title Infamous. Because if you look back in 1 and 2, which are on the PS3 right now, it's very difficult to go back to. And seeming as it's a new hardware with a new player base, not everyone's going to play 1 or 2, so they decided to just go with a whole new character. And keep it as it always is, enough detailed so they know what's going on, but not a lot so they cannot get spoilers from the previous game. So
yeah, I mean
while I do agree with that, as a fan of Infamous 1 and 2, I feel that we as fans were kind of just brushed aside for the new one. There was almost no reference to the previous games at all, other than just the standard names and definitions like conduit and certain references to events, but nothing, not even nods to, other than an Easter egg, which is kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit. There's not really anything to harken back to the old games, which was a shame, really, because I really wanted to find out what happens to some of the previous games' characters. But
even Paper Trails was actually a pretty good, but
Yeah, they were. It's probably too late now, but if they released a collection of Infamous 1, 2, and Festival of Blood on PS4, I'd absolutely buy it. I'd definitely replay those games. I know 1 would has not aged well, but 2, I think I'd probably just buy it just to play 2 and Festival of Blood again, because I could just imagine that game remastered for the Pro, like 4K and HDR. That would be fantastic. I'd definitely buy that, but I feel we're past that point now.
Yeah.
So
Besides
what were you?
that, I've complete Shadow Complex remaster. So it seems to be, it's not a game that everyone know about, but it's pretty nice Metroidvania game that I really, really enjoy. It's an ultra rare platinum, so it was a little bit challenging on a couple of trophies, but I really like how they play on the. It's Metroidvania, so it's in 2 dimension, but there is some scene where you change in third dimension just for a moment. For example, if you grab a turret, it will change the perspective and you will start firing at people in 3 dimensions. So I don't know, it's pretty interesting and really good game. I don't know when was the first Shadow Complex. I never heard about the game before this remaster, but
I've heard of the name before, but I can't put an image to the name in my mind.
yeah, it's really, really nice. The hardest trophy is to complete the game. It's a speed run, but it's a 100% speed run. So you have like 60 collectible or upgrades. You have to pick them up under 2 hours. So there is guide online and everything. Thing that helped me do it.
Those like speed runs are not my thing anyway. I hate speed runs in games.
It's really not the thing of a lot of people. But I
100%
love
speed
them.
runs though. That's like a whole other. That's a whole other. That's the only thing that puts me off playing the what they call the Shantae Genie games on PS Vita, because there's like 100% speed runs. The game looks great. I'd love to play it, but I don't think I could do the 100%
It's part
speed
of
run.
the game on my list that I didn't buy yet, but when it will have a nice sale, I'll probably buy it. And I did it in 1 hour 40 minutes. Definitely doable. You have a good half an hour on the video that you can save.
Cool.
And yesterday I completed Dust and Elysian Tale, which was an old PlayStation Plus game. It was really cool, but I had a feeling it looked like a PlayStation 3 game a little bit. It was looking a bit old, but the game was good overall. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's everything for you this week. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. I guess we'll move on to our news section. Well, I say news section, but right now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a few new released trophy lists from games that have either come out this week or they're coming out shortly. We're going to primarily look at 3 games in this segment. I'll run through them just now. We are looking at Skyrim VR. We're also going to talk about L.A. Noire, and I think we can have a little look at The Sims 4 as well. So, guys, let's start off with Skyrim. Anyone here previously played Skyrim? Just a regular vanilla Skyrim?
I played it, but not as a trophy hunters. It was a long time ago, and they didn't platinum the game yet or anything.
Punish?
I've never played it before. I've never picked up the game. I've always been kind of, I don't want to say hesitant. I've always wanted to buy it, but something's always gotten in its way. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I've never really been too interested in it. I'm not really into fantasy anyway. Vec, you've played it though.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking at the actual trophy list itself. Punish, you said previously to recording this show that you've had a quick look through the trophy list and you compared them to the non-VR version of the game.
Yes, I did. I did a quick glance through it of the PS3 version, the PS4 version, and then of course the VR version. And it looks like all the trophies are going to be the same. You got all your normal trophies for the normal campaign, and then you have all your additional trophies for all the DLC that came out previous or the game when it was initially released.
Okay, then. Well, let me ask you this, Vec. As someone who's put in time and played Skyrim before, how would you feel about doing all those trophies with a VR visor on?
I personally would think that it is a good idea on paper, bad idea on practice, because I like Skyrim as a game, playing, immersing myself in this world, which is vast and amazing. But this is the wrong genre to put it in VR because looking at how many hours I've put in Skyrim just in my normal playtime, I put a lot of time in this game, and if I go and play it on the VR and play it the same amount of hours I normally put in base game, I would get either motion sickness or probably just get like sudden headaches because I wouldn't stand just playing it on the VR for that amount of time.
Yeah, that's
Of course,
understandable. That is
yeah,
that is a drawback of VR of it. As someone who owns PSVR, I can say spending long periods of time in the visor is not great. Even if the game has been optimized in terms of user comfort, I would say, from not causing nausea or motion sickness. Even after a while, you do start to feel it. Void, what would your take on this be? Just in general, the trophies and just the VR experience of Skyrim.
Yeah, I don't feel. I mean, I never played VR in my life, but I have the feeling it's a nice game to play VR just because when you play the VR, like all the setup that you do, like if you want to platinum this game, you have to pass like 100 hours in the VR. I think it's for the platinum. It seems to be a really lengthy game to do that.
Mm.
It. I don't think I will. Even if I had a VR, I will pay again for this game and platinum, and it doesn't seem to make
It seems
any
to be
sense.
the other end of the scale in terms of what people are demanding for, or not demanding, but asking for games to come to VR. And
Yeah, but
what I
maybe
mean
with
by
a
what I mean by that
nicer
is,
technology, maybe something nicer in the future, it could be more possible, more comfortable to do
yeah,
that
that's
kind of.
true. What just to go back to my point I was going to make is that at the moment VR seems to be loads of very short experiences, which is to the benefit of VR. You, like I said, you don't want to be wearing
Yeah.
this thing for too long because even if it's nicely made and optimized for user comfort, again, it's not something you can wear for hours and hours and hours because you will start to feel ill even if you don't suffer from motion sickness, or you will feel it in your eyes. And this is me speaking from a personal experience, but people want longer experiences on VR, but this seems to be like well at the other end of the scale where it's like hundreds of hours. I could not imagine sitting there every time I go to my PlayStation for like about a month or so, however long it takes to platinum this game, playing it in VR every time. I think I'd get pretty tired of it pretty soon. I
Yeah.
think.
Do
But
yeah.
do you know if there is a way to like remove the VR so you could play with VR if you want? That could be like the perfect case for this game, for example, or you're forced to play in VR.
oh, you're asking.
Yeah, I'm asking. I don't know. It
I'm
sounds
not
like it will
sure.
be
I think
intelligent.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm not
sure.
sure about that either.
I will look that up while we move on to the next game. If anyone else has any input, Punish, you've not played Skyrim, so like me, I don't suppose you have any input on it, do you?
Not really. I have a good buddy of mine that absolutely loves Skyrim. He keeps pushing me to buy it to play it just so he can, grovel over me while I'm playing it. And for him to get the platinum, it took him, he told me 100, 120 hours. And that seems like a lot of time with a VR headset to be getting a platinum for it.
Mm.
So, and like kind of like just skipping off what everybody else has said, with that type of game, you just want to immerse yourself in the world, via the console. So honestly, for me, if I were, because I am planning on getting a VR headset here very shortly, I probably won't play Skyrim on it.
Okay, I figured out what's Skyrim VR. So, first of all, it's a completely separate game altogether. So you have to buy it again, even though you own Skyrim for the PlayStation 4, which is a real, turnoff. But really, though, the other thing that's more interesting is that being a separate purchase means that it's forced to be VR.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't like an expansion pack or a patch for Skyrim on PS4. This is a full made for VR Skyrim experience based on the Skyrim game. So by that standards, yeah, it seems like it absolutely is required because why buy a Skyrim VR game for VR and then play it without VR? You might as well just play the regular
Yeah, I
PS4
mean, it's
version.
happened.
Yeah.
I just know it's happened sometimes. There's some games like Volume, for example. There's Volume VR, but you don't need a VR. So it could be something they could have done just if they thought that people would not sit there for 100 hour with the VR.
I guess it's just another way of selling Skyrim because it seems to
Yeah.
be on a little bit of a resurgence at the moment. We're coming to Switch as well as being a little while ago being on PS4 and Xbox One. Then just another way to keep for Bethesda to keep repackaging Skyrim all these over all these years. Okay, anyway, well, let's move on to the next game then. Let's talk about L.A. Noire, the PS4 and Xbox One remaster that came out. Was it today? It's definitely this week. I'm sure it came out this. It was definitely this week. It came out.
Yeah, this week.
Right. Sorry, I just lost my place on the PSN profiles, but I found it again now. Yeah, L.A. Noire. I looked at the trophy list prior to the show, and as someone who's platinumed L.A. Noire, it looks very familiar, if not exactly the same. And the first trophy I scrolled down to was the Cars trophy for drive every vehicle in the city, which was which was the trophy that pissed me off the first time I played the game. It looks like I'll be doing it all over again. But yeah, I spoke about it previously on the show that I had to go on YouTube or go on Google and find pictures of the cars to hunt down the ones I needed, because there is a showroom in the game for all the cars you collect, so to speak, but the ones you don't have are like blacked out. They're like shadowed out, so you can't really see what you're looking for. So I had to go online and find someone who had already taken loads of screenshots of the game, and so I could look out for. But some of the cars are so similar as well. Like the only difference is like the front grille or the curve in the roof or something, Anyone else played L.A. Noire previously who's interested in getting the remaster?
Yeah,
Never
I
played
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's sorry, I asked two questions there. So you've all played it previously. Who is interested in getting the new one, the remaster?
I definitely will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Void,
No, never played it.
will you play it?
No, maybe if it get really cheap, but the Mafia thing doesn't jack me. I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's not quite the Mafia. It's you
But
play as
open world and everything, I feel like it's not my type of game. Open world too much. They get repetitive, personally.
yeah.
So
fair
maybe
enough.
one day I will give it a try, but no
Yeah, I
interest
can
for
see that.
now.
Yeah, I can understand. Vec, are you interested in L.A. Noire remastered?
Yeah, I'm actually interested. I'm hoping to buy it soon. Ugh.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it, even though the trophy list is a bit of a ball ache to do. I definitely will play it again for sure. I really did enjoy it on PS3. It was definitely one of the most standout titles for me personally of last gen. Just curious to see if it's aged well or not in terms of like controls, see if the controls have been touched up or anything. Okay, anyway, moving on to the last game that we're going to look at in the new trophy section, The Sims 4, the console edition of Sims 4. I don't really have much experience with the Sims games up until like maybe Sims 2 all those years ago. My interest in those games trailed off a long time ago. Does anyone have any input on this?
I haven't played any Sims games before. So
Never?
I'm not
Oh.
interested. No, never. I have never played a Sims game before, and I'm interested, but I haven't touched that series yet.
Okay, all right then. I can't really judge what the trophy list is going to entail, really, because I'm thinking this is going
I
to
mean,
take
it's
a long
looking.
time to.
Yeah, it will take a long time. I haven't played Sims in a while, but all the Sims games have are ultra rare trophy, if I'm right. And like there is
Yeah.
some trophy that you need to have 26 generation in your house. So like
Oh, wow. I'm just looking at the
that's a
trophy list.
shitload of babies.
Yeah, that
26
definitely
is
is.
like
Just at a glance of the trophy list, though, it does look like it's going to take a long time because it looks like you have to max out certain levels. Like, for example, have a sim reach max level charisma, max level tech guru, max level astronaut career, max level comedy skill, max level criminal career, max level mixology, so on and so forth.
there's
Pla-
even a luck related trophy where you
oh,
have to
yeah.
give birth to triplets. So I don't know how often that happened, but like
Yeah, it's
Just
definitely something.
you just do a farm Sims to have sex over and over again until you get triplets. Could take a while.
Yeah, I'm personally not really interested in getting Sims 4, although I know a lot of people are interested in this game. Sims is very near and dear to a lot of people. I guess around our age group as well, because a lot of people grew up playing this series on the PC. So I'm pretty sure this will be very popular. Although I'm curious to see what the trophy rarity will be like a few months down the line on PSN profiles. All right then. Well, that does it for our new trophy section. Let's move on to some actual gaming news. So, who wants to lead the gaming news section? Punish or Vec? Have you got some interesting stories to discuss?
Yeah, actually, I'll go ahead and just lead it off with we have the some of the Game Awards coming up here, and the thing that interests me the most was the Game of the Year award because not because of who's in contention for it, because there's some damn good games that are in the lineup, but there's been some interesting opinions about one of them, and that would be PlayerUnknown's Battleground. A lot of people are saying that it shouldn't have been nominated for Game of the Year because it's still technically in beta. And then, of course, you have your other ones. You have Persona 5, you have Horizon Zero Dawn, you have Super Mario Odyssey, and you have the new Zelda game. So,
yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about this controversy on Twitter about PlayerUnknown Battleground being, a game that's in beta. Does it even? I saw someone talking about reviews for it. Has it even been reviewed yet? Because it's still technically in beta, so I guess you can't really do a final review on the game on a product that's continuously developing.
yeah, there's actually user reviews. There's actually player reviews, but I don't think there's an official critic score on the game itself, and that's because it's still technically in beta. I don't think they've posted an official review on it yet. So, and a lot of people are going back to that exact opinion right there. Is like, okay, how are you going to make this Game of the Year where it doesn't even have a damn score yet?
Yeah, but this score doesn't mean a lot. Like the game I've sold like more than 20 million copy, and like it's like one of the most popular game right now, and since I don't know, maybe a year or something.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Even if it's in beta, like the game it's something in itself. Like they put energy on that and they make it super popular and so many people love it. I think it got its place anyway. It's not like a beta that is not working. Like they just didn't officially release it. That's just like paperwork.
Right. And the other
Personally,
interesting thing. Oh, go ahead, Beck. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I was gonna say that looking at PlayerUnknown's Battleground as a beta, I think it's just there just to give it recognition, nothing more, nothing less. I don't feel like it's gonna be awarded that title. It's just gonna be there nominated as a title. And I feel like that's the point, just to create a discussion about the gaming awards, like we're doing right now. It's kind of meta, but it. I feel like that's the reason why it's there.
Okay. What other games have you got listed, Punish, in regards to the awards?
Oh,
Anything
for
else
that, and yeah, and then also, I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of console exclusive. I'm still looking at the Game of the Year because that's the one I'm most interested in. But for Nintendo with the Switch, you have Super Mario Odyssey, which is one of its newest games that just released, and of course Zelda, which it got rave reviews from, I mean, Nintendo fans and non-Nintendo fans. And then you have Horizon Zero Dawn, which in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful games I've seen. I haven't played it personally, but from what I've seen, the screenshots, some of the video I've watched, absolutely amazing. And then the next one, obviously, is Persona 5, which me hoping it does win, but I mean, going against some of those other games, I know it's not.
Does
But
it
it's
matter
kind of,
if a game is console exclusive for it to be a contender of Game of the Year? I mean, in your
no,
opinion?
I don't think it really matters. I mean, I think it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of for the console to say, "Hey, look at that, we won." So,
Yeah, I guess it's to show off. It's another trophy in the cabinet for that particular brand, I guess.
It'll
right,
be a very
exactly.
difficult
Mm. All right. Any more on the awards?
Nope, nothing from here.
Okay. Well, we're sort of mainly a PlayStation centric podcast, so it's hard to sort of discuss games on other platforms. And I'm personally can never pick a game of the year myself. I just enjoy what I enjoy, and I don't really try to compare them. I mean, obviously, I can say personally speaking, this game I didn't like, this game I liked a lot, but I don't think I could ever pick like one particular game that was like outstanding. It just there's highs and lows, you know. Let's take for example Horizon Zero Dawn. That game is excellent. I really enjoyed it, but there's also some low moments in there as well. I mean, I don't know. On Twitter, though, I did manage to pick out one that did stand out in my mind this year for me as a game of the year. And I don't know how people really reacted to it, but I thought that Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy for me was my personal game of the year because that game, I felt so happy playing that game because Crash Bandicoot means so much to me. It's my childhood game. I grew up playing. It's where I sort of cut my teeth as a gamer. So it really resonated with me. So for that game to come out this year, and I've thoroughly enjoyed all three installments of those games in that collection. If I had to argue a game of the year, I think that one would be for me. Not because it was like mechanically the best or visually the best. I mean, the first game was tough as nails with those like time trials. I was like pulling my hair out, but the range of emotions that game gave me, I may have been really pissed off at one point, but when I first booted that game up and heard the remade theme music and saw the logo, I was getting a little bit choked up because it really does mean loads to me. So that is why, if I had to choose a game of the year, it would be Crash Bandicoot for me.
I find it super hard to find a game of the year, like because not like if I think about the game that I enjoyed the most this year is Darkest Dungeon, and it's a game that got released last year. So it's like every year I don't know if you can't really vote for a game of the year that got released before, but it's a game that I discover myself this year, and like that's the game I enjoy the most. So beside that, I don't know. There's so many of all those games that are game of the year, like in the awards. I didn't play any of them, even if I wanted to play Horizon Zero Dawn and Nier and everything. I'm just waiting for nicer price and better sale later. But yeah, it's hard to vote for those when you didn't play all of them.
Yeah,
You know,
I guess so.
Yeah, speaking of Nier, I'm kind of surprised that isn't a game of the year. But though, seeming as there's a lot of games coming out and they're all good at the same time, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't even there on the list. So that's for me one surprise. Though I'm kind of glad that Persona 5 is in there, so at least I have one game I've actually played. Then in Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, there was a lot of people that were from the Xbox exclusive. Cuphead didn't make it on the nomination for Game of the Year. There was a lot of people upset about that. So, but I mean, I digress. I mean, it comes down to really what we play, what we have, and I can't really give them like an honest opinion because I mean, hell, I haven't played any of the Nintendo games, so I can't tell you if Super Mario or Zelda is a good game or not. I've never played them. So,
Okay. Well, I can tell you that Super Mario Odyssey is an excellent game, but I mean, it is fantastic. I've been singing that game's praises ever since I got it. But like I said, technically, and like technically speaking, mechanically, I should say to make more sense. Mechanically speaking, Mario is a superior game to Crash Bandicoot. Definitely, it is the much better game. But Crash Bandicoot resonated with me from a nostalgia point of view, which I guess Mario obviously resonates with people from a nostalgia point of view as well. But I grew up playing Mario games only sparsely. I played Crash Bandicoot games almost non-stop during my like younger years. So you can see why I guess that kind of makes me biased really to Crash Bandicoot, even though Mario is the superior game. But anyway, I could go on for this for hours. But so let's move on. Let's move away from the Game Awards things. What other news have we got to talk about this week? Vec, have you got anything?
Yeah, I got one. The PlayStation Experience is getting the new exhibitors and playable titles announced. So we got over 100 games playable, but I'm not gonna list them all. Though I want to pinpoint some interesting ones that are actually getting a playable version. So first of all, There's the Guacamelee 2 one, which I know many. I don't know if any of you have played it before. Guacamelee 1.
Yeah, I played
Yeah,
it on Vita. It was one of the sort of first. I mentioned it last episode. Actually, it was
Yeah, we talk
during the
about
kind of
it.
launch window, and I played it on PS4 as well. And I really did try to not PS4, sorry, PS3, because I had the crossbuy. I really did try to get into it. Really was trying to platinum it, but my interest just fell,
Yeah.
just dropped one day. I don't like Metroidvania games, unfortunately. So yeah.
Okay. Besides that, we got um the what else is it here? Far Cry 5, which is the new Ubisoft game that's coming out. What else do we got here? We got this is very interesting. Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces are on display. Super Meat Boy Forever is on display and playable. And another interesting one is that the what was it called? A Shadow of the Colossus also is going to be playable on the show floor, which I'm actually interested if they tweaked any of the controls.
Well,
And
actually, just on a quick tangent about that, there was recently Paris Games Week, of course, and they did have one playable unit for the new the remake of Shadow of the Colossus. And I listened to some feedback from some game journalists about it, and from what they played of it, it seems that the controls have not improved as much as we would like them to have.
oh,
That's not good to
But
hear.
it's still early days. I mean, it is coming out. What? It's pretty early next year when it comes out. Is it February or it's pretty soon,
February.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's February.
yeah.
There is time, but having a build of it at Paris Games Week. But then again, we don't know how old that build is, so they may have feedback and may have tweaked it. But it just seems, from what the feedback so far, based on just this one demo, that the controls are not as great as as we may have liked to have hoped. So seems the camera's still a bit janky and the controls still maybe feel a little heavy, but I don't know. We time will tell. We'll see. But,
Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully by here and then we can hear more on the demo side when it comes out on the PlayStation Xperia show floor. But another game I'm actually interested that it's on the list is both Resident Evil 7 with the the added DLC and the
Uh-huh.
Impatient, which is a game made by Supermassive Games, and both of them look very interesting at the moment because Resident Evil 7 is getting the new DLC with the new what was the character that was near the
Chris
end?
Redfield.
Not a
Yeah,
hero,
Chris.
Chris Redfield DLC.
Yeah, so we're gonna see more of that, and we're gonna see the Impatient, which is actually one game that is very interesting to me because we don't know much about. But the premise is I think it's in an insane asylum.
The
if I'm not-
the Inpatient is a spiritual prequel to
Until
Until
Dawn.
Dawn. It's set
Yeah.
within that universe, which Until Dawn, amazing game. I love that game. Didn't play Rush of Blood because didn't really feel the need to, but I did actually claim that. That was sort of free on PlayStation Plus last month or the month before.
2 months
the
ago.
month of
2 months
2
ago.
months ago.
Month before then, yeah. So I will probably have a go at that one day. And I tried the demo for it, and it was pretty spooky. It was pretty intense, But anyway, I digress. The Impatient. I kind of deliberately avoided it. I didn't really want to see anything because I'm kind of already sold on it because I really enjoyed Until Dawn and Supermassive Games. They have me sold on that already, even though I haven't really looked at it. But if it's PSVR as well, I'm sure it's just going to be as intense as Rush of Blood is. So yeah, I look forward to seeing that.
So, that's about it. I got all the exhibitor players titles. Okay. Go.
So
Um,
talking about news, there is Killing Floor 2 that was free on PlayStation Plus in June. So majority of people have the game, and there is a multiplayer weekend this weekend with like 2 times experience. So the worst trophy in the game is literally to reach level 25. So if you want to platinum the game, I really recommend playing it today and until Sunday. I don't know. It's up on the 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to go for it,
Yes,
I
that is
really
an
suggest to go.
excellent shout out to that
because it's
of us
it's the
here-
last trophy. It's the last
Yeah.
trophy I missed, and I didn't play since 2-3 months. I was waiting for this event, so
Yeah, a few of us here and on the server, we used to have a killing floor 2 room, didn't we? Where we would boost with people because it was such a tricky selection of
Game.
trophies to get, and to boost up enough XP, it would take ages, and we'd use the glitch, wouldn't we? That was like a good few months ago, and yeah, it's even with the glitch, it is such a grind to get to level 25. So if you have that game already claimed in your library from PlayStation Plus, and you fancy having a go at the platinum, which is pretty easy other than just getting up to level 25, plus the glitch if they haven't patched it out yet, or an alternate glitch, plus the double XP, yeah, you should get that a lot sooner than a few of us did here on the server. That's for sure.
Yeah, there was
Um,
lots of hours grinding.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, oh man, it was crazy. Any more news before we move on?
Well, we got the early access for the Black Friday sale for the PS Plus
don't talk about
members.
that. It's full of crap.
Yeah, it's full
Yeah.
of garbage.
There's nothing worth
Yeah.
it. Don't look at the sale. Just ignore it.
Deluxe,
Yeah.
deluxe everything.
At least the only one I'm interested is actually South Park, the new South Park game, which adds
Okay.
another game. Yeah, that's the only one I can see redeemable on this list. But yeah, oh my god, I cannot stand looking at this. I'm just browsing it right now. It's just, oh god.
Boycott
Yeah,
EA.
It made me angry seeing that list. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, come on now.
But
think
it's
that-
early. Like there is a news talking that the Black Friday sale is supposed to come in UK on Tuesday. So it's probably the same thing that will happen. It will happen this week. The Black
I
Friday
think
sale.
the problem with Black Friday is just in general, not just with this list that you're talking about, is that people get this preconception in their mind when they think, oh, Black Friday deals are coming. They kind of hope for the best, but
Yeah,
don't
totally.
expect the worst. So in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a lot of games for really cheap. Again, now speaking about PlayStation, I'm going to get this for, I don't know, the latest Call of Duty for like £10 or something. And then the reality hits and people are walking away disappointed. But I think you really have to gauge your expectations, when it comes to Black Friday deals, get just across the
Totally,
board.
but I think they at the beginning with the Black Friday, they just start so big in US that it's spread everywhere, and like now people start to have expectation about these big deals.
Actually, I think that has a name. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find it. But that what you just mentioned is that does have a name, and it's actually a studied. I'm trying to find the name, but keep going. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I
It's
guess people
American
just always...
dream.
Hey, everybody wants
Black
the American
Friday.
dream.
Black Friday's not so big over here in the UK. I mean, it tried to be a few years ago, but it just doesn't sort of seem to gain the momentum that the American Black Friday does. I mean, retailers will try to get those big rushing crowds, but it just doesn't really seem to happen that much over here. I guess British people are just a little bit more kind of reserved when it comes to bargains, I guess. But then again,
Okay,
Not here.
from experience, yeah, I've seen plenty of newsreels and footage of how bad it can get.
I did a Black Friday once at a Best Buy, and I will never do a sitting in line Black Friday again. I never will, ever.
Ooh,
Ever.
I found it. It's
Okay.
called the anchoring effect. The anchoring effect is what you mentioned. It gives the players the expectation that a $60 game is reduced to a price lower than 60, like something around 20 or 40. It's considered a steal. It's a very interesting article. I honestly, if you find the anchoring effect, it's like you see how in practice it gives off the sensation that when you put a game on sale, you have to put it as a bit high but not too low in the spectrum. That it gives up the perspective that okay, this game was $60 at launch, it's now $40, and now it's $20. I'll get it at 20. that's the anchoring effect. So
Retailers do something similar to that, just in general speaking about retailers, where they will say that this was the recommended retail price, or this is what it was, and this is what it is now. But they never originally sold it for the recommended retail price anyway. So they'll say, like, this was 60, it's now 30, but they never originally sold it at the full price to give that kind of effect that you are getting a bargain. And that's like on PSN as well, when you see the PlayStation Plus get those exclusive discounts on pre-orders of games where it's like 15% off, and you think you're getting it for a little cheaper, but are they real? Like, it's hard to sort of for me to describe, but it gives the effect that it is a bargain, like you said, or you are getting it cheaper. But if I look on PSN and I see like there's a I can't remember what the exact percentage, but let's say for example 15% off if you're a PlayStation Plus member and you pre-order digitally Far Cry 5. It's down from like 55 down to something I don't know, a little bit cheaper, whatever 15% is. But I could probably get that cheaper on disc anyway in a brick and mortar store. So it's giving you the illusion that it's cheaper to get it there, but it really isn't. So I guess the moral is shop around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just shop around, guys. I mean, you have and then a week later, you're going to have Cyber Monday, Cyber Tuesday, or whatever, where everything goes on sale online. So,
yeah. Okay. Any more news before we move on?
besides that, no, I don't think so.
Okay. I think we've got a pretty chunky news section, so I think we could move on to trophies. If everyone's happy to move on, let's push on through with the tricky trophy segment. Now, for everyone who is new to the podcast, our tricky trophy segment is where we look through our personal trophy history through all these years, and we each pick out one trophy that was particularly memorable to us. Either it was really difficult, it was really just frustrating, or it was just really boring, and we all tell a little anecdote around each of our trophies. So, Void, would you like to go first with your tricky trophy?
Yeah, this week I didn't pick up one of my tricky trophy. Actually, what we did, it's last week I asked the question on Twitter to some people to give me their tricky trophy. So I'm gonna go with two tricky trophy that I choose from the people. The first one is from Lotus of Doom, that he's talking about Elder Scroll Online, which we know is a super hard platinum in itself. I think it's a lot of grind and everything. And there's a specific trophy that is called Emperor, which what he explained to me is you need to be ranked number 1 in PvP and own the Imperial City. So it seems to be super complicated. You say it take like 17 hours straight, and the coordination of like you have to beat 2 other aliens. So it seems to be something super big from MMO, and it's one of the rarest trophy for the platinum too. So
that kind of reminds me of trophies that I've seen in the past, where it's like, come at the top of the leaderboard for online rankings. Like stuff like that seems close to impossible unless you're like the best. Like, of course, someone's going to get to the top eventually, but it seems like such a lot of work to get trophies like that. And that doesn't.
And it's you have to do a lot. I mean, it's online with so many people, and you have to literally be ranked number 1. So yeah, it's difficult stuff. Okay. So, and the other one I wanted to go from is from Cats, the Uber Cats, that is from the Discord too, talking about Child Fusion, this moto game that a lot of us played in the past. There is one trophy that is called Anger Management, and he say that it took him a good 20 hours that you have to do. It's a 4 laps, super long circle. It's 1 minute per laps, he told me. So you have to do 4 laps, but you have to do it perfectly without falling. And so he said that every run take around 5 minutes, and it took 20 hours for a bronze trophy. So yeah, it's a bit. I think it was a little bit mazo when he did that, because the game doesn't even have a platinum. But there's not a lot of people who beat that.
Well, games don't have to have platinums for you to feel like you've really achieved something. There's
Yeah,
plenty. There's
but
plenty of really hard games, or there's even we've argued this before. There's games out there that should have a platinum that don't have a platinum, and vice versa. There's games that are crazy easy that shouldn't really have a platinum. But
yeah, totally.
that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Okay, so Punish, you're up next. What tricky trophy have you got for us this week?
All right, so my tricky trophy, I went ahead and decided to go with one that I had platinumed a little while back, and it has actually been released again this week, and that was L.A. Noire. And when it came to the tricky trophy, I really didn't have a problem with the Cars trophy. It kind of just popped for me. I think I got it just by sheer luck. The one I had a problem with that actually made me throw my my controller out at the time was the Keep a Lid on It trophy, which is you have to get into a brawl and keep your hat on. You can't get.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you can't. If you get knocked down or if somebody hits you hard enough, your hat falls off and you don't get the trophy. Well, when I was going through the trophy list and playing the game, I kept trying to do it over and over and over again. And then finally, I said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go online, figure out an easier way to do this. And somebody had listed an opinion online. He's like, look, listen, don't do this until the very end because you'll get equipment that will stay on a lot easier and it'll let you punch a lot harder too. So I ended up doing that, and I ended up getting it the first try after playing the game for 45, 50 hours.
Oh, nice. No, nice. Yeah, I do remember that. Tricky indeed. All right. Okay. Beck, what's your tricky trophy for this week?
I'm going back to the year 2014. I got this game called Ratchet Deadlocked. I don't know if any of you heard. It's also named, I don't know if you guys have heard, Ratchet Gladiator for in the EU.
Yep, I've heard of it.
Okay, so this game
I actually own it,
is
but I never played it. Just as a little addition to that.
just a fair warning. If you're thinking of jumping into this game, I recommend going through it and not expecting it to be as a Ratchet and Clank game. I don't recommend this game at all, but I will say it's a fairly good additional game that you can play. Like the PSP games, you can play them, but you won't get the same experience as the other games.
From what I
personally,
understand of it, I own it, but I never actually played it. I downloaded it, getting it ready to play, but I never actually got around to playing it back on PS3. But from what I understand, it's like the arenas out of the game mixed with mini games as well. Is that a correct approximation?
yeah, it's basically just an arena. It's basically what the arena section that got lost in time for the PlayStation 4 version of Ratchet and Clank. So my tricky trophy, comes in the form of an easy on paper but very difficult when you're trying to get it. It's called Aiming is Overrated. It's purchasing the Harbinger weapon. So hear me out. While some people have bought it, late into the second playthrough after, playing it so much time, I decided it was better for me at the time to buy the Harbinger weapon and accumulate the bolts required to do so immediately on the first playthrough. Okay, so the weapon itself costs 2 million bolts, and you don't get the bolt multiplier in the normal game. So I just started grinding it out because I wanted to knock that trophy out of the way. But at the same time, I handicapped myself in the base game. Since in the base game you get only 2 weapons for free, the rest you have to buy with bolts. And I decided to stockpile all my bolts, making my playthrough of the game a bit harder. But at the same time, after replaying it again, I saw it was a bit easier with other weapons. But never do what I did and, handicap yourself with only 2 weapons in this game, because you're going to have a really bad time. Yeah.
So just to recap from that, what was the hardest part about this trophy? Was it just grinding out the bolts, or
Not only grinding out the bolts, because you have it was replaying missions over and over again, because base game, there's no bolt multiplayer until the next portion of the game. But I decided, I don't want the bolt multiplier. Let's do a handicap myself, and it was actually fairly fun and challenging at the same time, while realizing that some missions cannot be replayed more than once because you don't get the same amount of bolts, but enemies drop the same amount of bolts every single time, so you can just grind from there, leaving me with around 1 to 2 hours just grinding the bolts necessary to buy the weapon. And not
Yeah,
only
I
that,
know all about like that. With as someone who's platinumed like a lot of the Ratchet and Clank games across PS3 and also on PS4. Yeah, grinding bolts in like arenas just to get weapons upgrades, it can take a lot of time. A lot of time.
I remember why I did this, because I wanted to knock out the For the Win trophy, the 4 million bolts trophy, and I decided to buy it later, so that's why I handicapped myself. So yeah, that's the story of why, if you're gonna play Ratchet Deadlock or Ratchet Gladiator, do yourself a favor, don't do what I did, and play the game not as a Ratchet and Clank game, but as an extension of the arena portions of Ratchet and Clank.
All right then. Okay, that leaves me then till last. My tricky trophy for this week. Funnily enough, we were talking about the Infamous games just earlier in this episode. This is from the first game, Infamous, back on PS3. I think we've actually touched on this in the past on previous episodes. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it. But this trophy is Rockhound. Find 100% of the shards. These are the collectibles in the Infamous games, at least the first two. No, sorry, in all the Infamous games, actually. Blast shards, they're basically like collectibles, but they also power you up. They help you power up your powers, like basically kind of rank up, kind of like little pockets of XP to find. Particularly difficult in terms of finding them in the first game. They're scattered all around the map. They're what they sound like. They are shards of metal which are just wedged in all kinds of angles, positions, heights, all over the map, like in buildings, under archways, in tunnels, in the ground. Some are easy to find, some are really well hidden, some are on the lowest points of the map, the highest points of the map. They are literally everywhere. I can't remember exactly how many there are altogether. Actually, let me look here. 350 blast shards in the entire game. They suck to get. They make you really OP by the end of the game, but they suck to get. They are no fun because they're in some really tricky places. You have to be quite creative with your climbing. But it's tracking them down. I mean, you can look at a map online in a guide, but the maps only tell you where it is from a 2D top-down perspective. Now, remember, like I said, they're everywhere. Like in a 3D, think of it from a 3D point of view. They're everywhere, all over the building. So the map will tell you roughly where it is, but you have to find it. They glow and they make a noise when you're close, but often that's not really too helpful. From what I remember, near the end of the game, you get the ability they appear on your mini map, so you can at least find roughly where they are before you can visually verify where they are. And I think in the second game, they gave you the ability to ping your radar, so they appear on the map. And I can't remember Second Son. Did they add stuff for that?
Okay, so for the blast shards in Second Son, I think it had more than one, because more than enough, because sometimes you can just find the scanners and it's behind districts, so you can just scan in the district and it check marks all the blast shards you get in this section.
Yeah,
Also,
they made it a lot easier.
Yeah, in the first game, and I actually remember this for clear point, because we mentioned this in near the first one, the first episode of the podcast. It was in Infamous One. You can ping the R3 button, I think R3 or L3 button, and you could get a scan on the minimap, which is very small for Infamous One, and you can see around the general area a blue dot, which is dark enough so it blends in with the minimap, so you can't see it precisely. In the second game, they fixed it by making it a special ability. The special ability not only scans it, but also does very interesting, marks it so that it takes you to the nearest one instead of the one in the general vicinity. And in Infamous Second Son, it's just a check mark.
Yeah, they made it from the second game. It was a lot easier, but yeah, I just remember I have vivid memories of just spending hours getting all them blast shards. What I did is I found a map online on a trophy guide of the three islands for the first Infamous game, and I put it on my iPad screen, and I actually imported the picture into like a Photoshop. So what I did is every time I got a blast shard, I would like tick the blue dot basically on my iPad. And I grid off the city, and I just do it block at a time, district at a time, and I found that was the most efficient way of doing it, rather than sort of like randomly bumping into more, just trying my luck with this little ping that you could do on your radar. But like I said earlier in this episode, if they brought them back as a HD collection, I probably would play one again, but I don't know. Maybe I'd just stick to two. Just thinking about doing blast shards all over again gives me a headache just thinking about it. Okay, anyway, that was our tricky trophy section. Guys, I think it's time to start rounding off this episode. We're definitely gone on for a while now. We've got some good content, so I think it's time to wind it down for this week. So, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone who listens to us on YouTube, who subscribes to us on YouTube. If you don't subscribe to us, please do. Please like our videos and leave feedback. We appreciate the feedback we get. Thanks to everyone here in the live chat who's been talking along behind us. Thank you for listening, coming in live. We really do appreciate the live audience. We've had quite a good turnout this week. Thank you if you download us on iTunes as well. Please leave feedback as well. We do appreciate that. Also, please, if you can, support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. It helps us keep this show on, basically. The cover's just the server costs. We are completely non-profit. We don't take any profit from this. We just do it because we are big fans of gaming and we're passionate about gaming and we just like talking about gaming. That's pretty much it. Yeah. We don't want to take anything from it. We just do it for the fun. But server costs must be paid to keep the show on the air. So if you can, please support us. That about rounds it off for this episode. So where can everyone be found? Void, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PVTVoid.
Vec, where can people find you?
You can find me up pretty much anywhere on the Vectronic. Yeah, only on Twitter at the moment.
They can find you everywhere, but only on Twitter. That's a great. That's a great sign off. Well done. Maybe you should rethink about that for next week. Punish, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at @SSG_Punish.
Excellent. And you can find me on Twitter at @TheDazil. And also, you can find all of us, this podcast, you can find us at the Trophy Trust on Twitter. So please follow us there. We have updates. And also, we run little interactive things on there as well. So you can submit your tricky trophies and we can read them out on the next episode. And also, we just have some little backs and forths on there as well. So please follow us on Twitter too. This has been the Trophy Trust podcast. Keep on trophy hunting. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care,
Have
guys.
a good weekend.
Bye.